Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. Alright, so I got one more set of my squat regiment to do, and I figured I'd just make a video because there's a lot of information coming in regards to the LA Lakers, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I didn't want to wait while it's on my mind. First thing I want to say is what I suggested last night with the Lakers shutting down the injured players for the remainder of the season. The Lakers did this morning. I guess somebody was thinking like I did, or maybe they even saw my video. I don't know, but I made what I think was a compelling argument for why we should shut down the players who are out for the season, who've been out for the most of the season. And Christian Wood, Jarred Vanderbilt, and Gabe Vincent are all out for the regular season. We're expected to have them back for the playoffs, which is safe because there's a good chance we don't make the playoffs. So the point is, for me, in the statement that I made last night after reacting to the Hawks video, is now that we got Christian Wood out with this surgery that he's going to have, which we talked about last night. He's going to have surgery, arthroscopic surgery on his knee after being out since February 14th. It is like the 19th of March right now or something like that. It gets to a point where you just start realizing that you're asking Darvin Ham, in a very pressured situation, to start incorporating injured players into his rotation. And that's really the science for me behind why I'm shutting those guys down, because I don't want to make things more complicated for a coach who's already proven he doesn't do well in those situations. We have a certain group of guys that we have rotations with that have been in synergy with one another, and for better or worse, this is who we've been. Once you start bringing new pieces in, it changes the roles of other players. It changes what it is they're expected to do. You know, I've been listening to Trevor Lane. He was talking about bringing in bringing Hachimura off of the bench for Gabe Vincent when bringing him back. That's a very bad idea. There's two reasons why I thought that would be a bad idea. One, you're asking Vanderbilt to now be on the floor with Bron and AD and key minutes to start the game, and we are a team that gets off to slow starts. He's coming back from injury, and on top of that, of the issues that he would have trying to be his best self fresh off injury, he's also somebody who's going to shrink the floor for the other four guys. Rui doesn't have that problem. You got to respect him all over the floor. So while you help yourself defensively, you hurt yourself offensively. So that was my point of view that I was going to make anyway in regards to that. With Vanderbilt coming back, if he's not 100% healthy and if he's not stretching the floor, your offense does start to suffer. He may help them defensively by making it so that D'Lo and Austin have that defensive player on the floor, but it's patch up one hole, open up another. Now you got spacing issues that you don't have when Rui's on the floor. And if one of the reasons why our offense has been so incredibly terrific, with the second overall best offensive team over the last several weeks, is because we don't have anybody taking away space from anybody on the floor offensively to start these games. So schematically, open one hole, close another type of thing when you bring Vando into the starting lineup, even when he's 100% healthy with these four guys. And I've come to understand that since Rui's become part of the starting lineup. For me, when I was thinking about Vanderbilt, I bring Vanderbilt off the bench, and I can control better what it is that I'm asking Vanderbilt to be a part of by keeping my starting lineup and the synergy that those five have right now, and then bringing him in as I see fit. That's how you incorporate him back in. That way, you can control a little more of what the spacing damage will be, and you can control a lot more of what is his activity will be coming back from injury, for which we've had two or three setbacks already with Vanderbilt. So the only smart way to do that, in my opinion, was what I just described. Now, we're not asking Darvin to make that decision. We let Vanderbilt sit, and if we happen to get into the playoffs and do some damage in the play-in tournament, which is kind of iffy right now, then you can try to bring Vanderbilt back in. Hopefully he's that much more healthy to do that much more good, rather than bringing him in so soon. You allow him time to work on his conditioning, which I think is ultimately what it's about. Gabe Vincent is a guy who's been out for all year. We have his replacement in place. Now you're going to bring him back into the situation, ask Darvin Ham to incorporate him in with guys like D'Lo, Austin. Of course, Max Christie's minutes will now be going bye-bye. You also got to consider Spencer Dinwiddie, who I'm telling you is the replacement. It's just too many small players you're asking for. When it comes to Darvin Ham, you're going to put four of them dudes on the floor at the same time. You want to eliminate that option from him so he can't hurt you with it. So that's really what I'm looking at there. And then, of course, you got Christian Wood with the knee injury. Now, I don't remember if Cam Reddish is a part of that ruled out for the season bunch. It was only 3 names, and we have more than 3 players out for the right now. But Cam Reddish is a guy where I honestly probably think they should shut him down too. They should shut him down too for the regular season, only because of the same problems that we've been having with him coming back, getting hurt, just like Vanderbilt. Coming back, getting hurt, coming back, getting hurt. If these guys were spot-up shooters, had less of a physical way of their game and less physical roles on this team or needs for their piece to be physical, I guess is what I'm trying to say, it would be a lot more reasonable for me to incorporate them into this rotation, because I can just spot them up in the corner. They're less likely to get hurt. But these guys are supposed to be defensive players going left to right, pogo sticks going up and down. And, you know, I reference a guy that was with the Boston Celtics who got traded to the Portland Trail Blazers, Time Lord. You know what I mean? It comes down to this. If you're going to ask a player like that to keep coming back from injury or to play hurt, you're going to hurt them long term, because they can't play their best ball unless they're 100% healthy. You got a guy like Time Lord blocking shots left and right, jumping up and down, trying to get offensive boards and box out and all different types of stuff with bad knees. You know, I thought that really hurt his career when the Boston Celtics forced him to play on that injured thing. And so for me, it's like, learn that lesson from them 2 years back and don't do that to your players. As I said last night, you can have these guys out for the rest of the season, let them fully heal from their injuries, work out. You got most of them on contract for next year. They will come back in much better shape if they're disciplined enough athletes to take their off-season seriously. They're going to be in better shape than they would have been if you let them play right now, having been cleared. You know, I genuinely believe in, okay, you've been cleared, now let's work on your conditioning. You got your conditioning up, okay, now let's get sharper. You know, that kind of thing. That way they come back bigger, faster, stronger, and more healthy, and more likely to be able to endure whatever injuries come their way. Stretching all summer long, eating better all summer long, you know, doing whatever the conditioning would be. And so I think that's the better way to go. You work on a guy's conditioning when he's fresh off injury, and that way he doesn't relapse into injury. Keep bringing guys back as soon as the doctors clear them, and they don't have that layer of conditioning on top of the injury. It's just you bringing them back and then asking them to be healthy. That's not how the body works with most guys. So, and none of this is a perfect science. We've seen situations where guys come back as Spartans and still get hurt. I reference another Boston Celtic guy that's now with the OKC Thunder, played with the Charlotte Hornets just now, Gordon Hayward, who came in the best shape of anybody and still had a freak injury that ultimately kept him out for the season at the beginning of the season. So it's not a perfect science. A guy can come back in great shape and still get hurt, but you lessen that likelihood of that happening by allowing them to fully heal, and then from there work on conditioning for an extended period of time. So that's my mentality when it comes to players who are hurt, if we can afford to spare that type of time for them. And in most cases, it probably benefits you to sacrifice it anyway, especially when you have them all for multiple contract years. So that's where my head is, man. Gabe Vincent, I think he'll be so much better of a player if he has more time to condition himself than what it is we're asking him to have right now if we were to bring him back for the tail end of the season. It just ain't worth it, especially when I don't think that Darvin Ham's going to responsibly incorporate him into the lineup with Spencer Dinwiddie now in place. It's not a good ask of this coach. And given the fact that it's not, you probably do better just letting him rest. Christian Wood, you don't have that option. He's having the surgery now, and I don't know what the details of what happened there is, so I just speculate with frustration. But you know, we don't have the option of bringing in Christian Wood, and we really need him. So that's what that is. And of course, with Vanderbilt, he's just such an important piece to what we're doing in the future. Vanderbilt's a guy I told y'all that I want to keep on this team for the rest of his career. Literally, I just always am going to want what he brings to the table, even if he doesn't necessarily fit in the starting lineup of the unit we have right now. It doesn't mean nothing to me, because whatever I'm rebuilding, I want him on the team. He's that type of piece. So for me, it's like I'm going to long-term it with Vanderbilt more so than I'm going to do probably anybody else on the team, just because I want his piece no matter what I have. So with that being said, I'm not going to let Robert Williams type stuff happen to him when he has Robert Williams type of game. And you're going to have him in Robert Williams type of roles for as long as he's in this league. So for me, it's like, how about I just let him rest, condition himself, and then he has to work on his jump shot in the corner and continue to master that. He looked great the night he got hurt against the Celtics. In the first half, he was hitting threes. That's the Vanderbilt I want returning. If these setbacks are going to keep him from being that person, then I'm not getting the best version of what I'm paying for when it comes to Vanderbilt, and I'm probably risking what he's going to be going forward. And none of that has to happen for a team that, quite honestly, probably isn't going to win the championship this year. So that's my thinking, man. I just think the Lakers make the right decision in shutting those guys down. You leave yourself room to say they can come back in the playoffs. I think that's the safe way to play it, rather than to say we're not bringing them back at all. Because there are a lot of people who really think the best of getting healthy, but getting healthy doesn't mean getting healthy if Darvin Ham is going to utilize him improperly and alienate players who otherwise he has been using in rotation, and ultimately bringing forth a newness without necessarily it making a whole lot of sense for the units that he's going to be having down there. So we don't have time for that, and I just think using what we have right now is probably the safer bet because of that severe weakness in what it is that we have going on. So if we had a different coach who incorporated players better into the lineup, I would have a slightly different mentality, because I wouldn't think it would be so irresponsible to bring those guys back. But with Darvin at the helm, it is very irresponsible having all of them come back at once. So I'm glad the Lakers made this decision. I think I'm probably in the minority. Most people are frustrated. I looked on Twitter when, you know, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm sick of these guys. This is all, it's doom and gloom. No, well, it is for this season, but I don't think them coming back is going to be a plus, especially all at once. Especially with what's on the line, especially with who's all of the different things, trying to figure out their minutes and all of that. It's just, it's a nightmare, man. And then when you consider, like I said, Vanderbilt's piece, a lot of people believe that's going to be a plus in your starting lineup, but I know it's not. I know it's not. Because now you got more people honing in on those other four guys, and you don't need that. You need the spacings, and that's what's giving us the offensive gifts that we have. Our defense could be fantastic with Vanderbilt back, but you don't get to do both. Now your offense is going to go down the toilet when your defense gets back to eliteness. That's the issue with having one-way players. We've done a great job of having extremes, guys who can extremely play defense and extremely play offense. You don't have both at the same time, so you got to pick a side. And I think offense is probably the side we need to pick, because offense, great offense is always going to be good defense every time. Unfortunately, it's just what I've learned over 30 years of watching the sport. So I respect defense. I believe in defense. I think defense can win championships, but in an era where everybody's shooting and spacing and all of that, you can't have spacing issues with your offense. Not in your starting lineup. You get off to bad starts each and every time. So, you know, close one hole, open another. You're going to have a hole. Just pick one. And for me, I'd rather pick the hole that's most healthy, which means Vanderbilt is not that hole. I'm not gonna choose bad spacing with a player that's barely coming back from injury. I'm gonna go with Rui Hachimura, who provides all the spacing, and allow for what it is that's been working to work as best it can. And whatever we can't do, we just understand that we're not good enough to win, and that's why. It's not necessarily something that Vanderbilt's gonna come and fix. So you lose one way, you lose another way. You know, that's kind of what we're looking at here, and I'm gonna choose to stay healthy. So that's what it is. I think the Lakers are making the right decision for the long term of their circumstances. If these guys are on one-year deals, it'd probably be a different way of approaching it, because you don't have to necessarily invest in them personally. But given the fact that we got Gabe Vincent on another couple years, we got Vanderbilt on another couple years, Christian Wood has a player option, we're all on the hook for these guys next season. They need to come in healthy, or at least be very healthy in the offseason, so we can trade them if that's what we're going to do. So we can't do that if we're rushing them back. So let them work on their conditioning, and if we do something in the playoffs, we'll adjust our thinking. You know, I still am going to have the same idea. If we're bringing them back and we're doing well in the playoffs enough to advance, bringing in players who've been out probably isn't going to help us at all. I think that's probably how I'm going to feel in the playoffs. If we're doing well, why the hell are we bringing in new players, change everybody's role? But at the same time, it's like, as I said, you want to cover all your bases, and you don't want your fans turning on you because they're not thinking all the stuff I'm thinking in my head. They're just thinking, we need to get healthy. Those are players who are not healthy. We need them in the playoffs. But it's can you responsibly incorporate them into the situation without hurting what it is that ultimately you're used to doing, which is very important in the playoffs too. So that's what it is, man. That's what my thought is on that. Now, the next thing I wanted to say was Dwight Howard. Trevor Lane brought some information to help me understand whether or not we have an opportunity to let him play in the playoffs. But because he hasn't been on a team all year long, you can incorporate him into the team right now, and he will be able to be eligible for the playoffs if you do that. However, there is some stipulations with taxes and stuff like that that can make it significantly more difficult to just waive a guy like Christian Wood, who does have a player option, or waive a guy like Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's a rookie, that kind of thing. You probably don't. It's not as simple as just let's waive him and bring in Dwight and he plays in the playoffs. You can do that, but you're going to get bit in the back end by having to pay Christian Wood next year when he's not on your team, or losing the first-round pick that is Jalen Hood-Schifino, which is probably not the best sacrifice for this unit unless you're certain you can win a championship, that kind of thing. That's punting a first-round pick in a year when you probably ain't getting another one this year, with the way things are going, with how it's set up for New Orleans to take our pick. So it's as valuable as first-round picks are in this year, in this era. I'm not going to punt my first-round pick, even if I'm not happy with it, just so I can bring in a role player that Darvin may not even use. Maybe a team need, but Darvin, if he doesn't see it as something he wants to incorporate into the situation, it's still going to be a need sitting on your bench. So that's not a good sacrifice for that type of situation. I'm not doing that for Max Lewis either. I want Max Lewis on my team for years to come. So it's not something I'm willing to do to sacrifice for this unit. I wouldn't. And paying for Christian, you know, maybe you waive Christian Wood since he's not coming back this season. But again, that player option, you don't want to be on the hook for that. That can mess with with a lot of what is able to be done next year when you want to bring players to you and you have that on your cap. And it's just not. There's no real responsible way to do that, unfortunately. There's no player exception, injury exception, or nothing like that. It's that deadline has passed, so you're kind of just stuck. You're stuck without your center unless you want to make a sacrifice. It's probably going to hurt you next season, and I don't know if that's the right way to go for us. Waiving somebody like Colin Castleton or something like that, try to bring in Dwight Howard. I don't know if that would be possible for guys on two ways. I don't think so. But if for some reason the Lakers want to bite that bullet and put themselves in a position to have those pains next year, you can bring Dwight in right now to help this unit and play in the playoffs. So that's the bit of information that we have, man. Lakers beat the Hawks last night by about 30 points. We were very pleased with how everybody played. D'Lo tied Nick Van Exel's three-point shooting record for our team, our organization, and he could break that on Friday when we play the Philadelphia 76ers. Lakers got 3 days off, so they got a lot of thinking they can do between now and then. A lot of practice could be possible, rest could be possible, and so on and so forth. But as far as these injured players, we are going to let them sit out the rest of the regular season, all 13 of these games, and bring them back in the postseason, which I think also means they won't play in the play-in tournament. So that's what it is, man. Looking forward to seeing what's happening with Cam Reddish, though. I don't think he was mentioned. I don't think he was. Only Christian Wood, Vanderbilt, and Vincent are ruled out for the regular season, with intentions of bringing them back for the playoffs if we advance to the playoffs, which is in flux right now, as we know. So that is what it is, man. That is exactly what the news is. I didn't want to wait on that. I wanted to get that out early. Of course, we ain't going to have too many Laker videos, I don't imagine, between now and Friday, since we don't play. But I do want to keep my ear to the streets in regards to our team. And I'm pleased with this news. I think it's probably the best way to manage Darvin Ham while simultaneously making these guys as healthy as you're going to need them to be on multiple years. Or at least give them more time to condition themselves than what we would have bringing them back right now. They got a whole nother month to continue to work on themselves. Maybe we can have some breakthroughs on those guys, conditioning in some way. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's what it is, man. This season has not been the greatest, but coming off of a victory, you just got to take the victories where you can, and we're happy to have beaten the Hawks last night, having them shoot 22% from behind the arc and launch 1,000,000 threes. I wish every team would do that. I really do. But it is what it is, man. Now, when you're coming up on the Philadelphia 76ers on Friday, there's something we got to understand. We need to understand this. They have their own De'Aaron Fox over there. Tyrese Maxey is De'Aaron Fox East. So the same way that De'Aaron Fox be attacking the Lakers, getting into the paint, shooting overs, hitting a bunch of threes, however he wants to do, is exactly the way Tyrese Maxey is going to attack us. Same type of athlete, same speed demon. So I don't think we're in the greatest position to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, Joel is expected to be out. I don't know that he's coming back this season. I have no idea what the situation is, but he's not expected to play on Friday. I don't know that we're just a shoe-in to win that game. Philadelphia is fighting for their playoff lives. Well, no, they're in the middle of the playoff pack, but they don't want to fall into the play-in tournament, and they can. So this is a big game for them. And even though they're missing one of their superstars, they got the other one. And so we need to understand that Tyrese Maxey is more than capable of going for 50 points and shooting 8 threes and all different types of superstar stuff, because that's exactly who he's becoming. And so if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, you need to figure out how to get some defense in front of that man, because if you don't, he's just going to De'Aaron Fox us. And the last time we played against the Philadelphia 76ers, as you know, because I talk about it a lot, we lost by 44 points. So y'all got to come in with a certain level of fire, Lakers, against this particular franchise, because they have had your number a lot over the last couple of years, and none worse than this season's 44-point debacle. So, yeah, man, Tyrese Maxey is somebody we should be very cautious about, if not fear, because he attacks us the exact way that we need him not to, with speed, power, and efficiency. And that's really what it is, man. So I just want to let people know that, man. And that is really the video for this morning. I appreciate everybody for watching BDL 44, and I'm out.